ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ ਹਮ ਮੈਲੇ ਤੁਮ ਉਜਲ ਕਰਤੇ ਹਮ ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਤੂ ਦਾਤਾ ਹਮ ਮੈਲੇ ਤੁਮ ਉਜਲ ਕਰਤੇ ਹਮ ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਤੂ ਦਾਤਾ ਹਮ ਮੂਰਖ ਤੁਮ ਚਤੁਰ ਸਿਆਣੇ ਤੂ ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਕਾ ਗਿਆਤਾ ਮਾਧੋ ਹਮ ਐਸੇ ਤੂ ਐਸਾ ਹਮ ਪਾਪੀ ਤੁਮ ਪਾਪ ਖੰਡਨ ਨੀਕੋ ਠਾਕੁਰ ਦੇਸਾ ਟੰਡੋਤ ਬੰਦਨ ਅਨਕ ਬਾਰ ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਡੋਲਣ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾਰ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਜਹ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਹਉਮੈ ਤਜੀ
करता राम पछान कहो नानक वह मुक्त नर एह मन साची मान जह प्राणी हों मैं तजी करता राम पछान
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। गुरु रूप गुरु प्यारी ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ, ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਾਨਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ। Only through the blessings of ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, we've been able to come together to be able to be in sangat, in their sanctuary, in their sharan, in their darbar, in their Guru Kar. Sad Sangat Ji, over the past few weeks we've been going through the Bani of Salok Mahalla Nava, the Bani of Satguru Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, the last Bani from Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj before they were shaheed in Delhi in Chandni Chowk. And this year, Sad Sangat Ji, as we are remembering Tan Tan Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's 350th Shahidi Divas, we as a Sangat and the Sevadar are going through the Bani of Salok Mahalla Nava to be able to understand what is Guru Sahib Ji explaining to us in this last Bani of theirs and what we can learn from this to be able to help us in our life. Sad Sangat Ji, let's continue to go through the Saloks today, and with Guru Sahib Ji's Kirpa, we will be focusing around the 19th and the 20th Salok, and Maharaj Kirpa will get through a couple more. But Sad Sangat Ji, let's listen to this slok, let's listen to this first pankti of the 19th slok where Maharaj is going to tell us about Home. Hanji.
Jah prani home taji karta ram pachan.
So Sad Sangat Ji, just the literal earth of this pankti, Maharaj is saying to us that Jah prani, that person, prani means that person. So pran is breath, and prani is the word person who can breathe. So that prani, that person who has a breath, jai prani, home. Home will very loosely translate to being ego. Home taji. Taji means to forsake. So that person, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj is describing that person who's been able to forsake and let go of their ego. Jai prani home taji karta ram pachan. And this person who's forsaken and got rid of their ego, they're also recognizing that Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji Karta, the creator, and Ram means the Ramya Hoya. Ramya means the one who's pervading everywhere. Karta Ram Pachan, and they recognize that there's that creator, that Akal Purukh Vaheguru. They recognize that Ramya Hoya Akal Purukh, that Jot is everywhere. So Sad Sangat Ji, the question comes, what is home? Because this is where we're going to focus today's gatha, is around ego. Okay, home hai ki. And Maharaj is talking about this person, this prani, jai prani, home taji, who's forsaken ego. Now that might be quite easy to understand, but the question really becomes is, how do we really forsake ego? Because ego is not easy to say ke tu pare ho ja, to get it away from us. Ego, our home, is quite a deep thing. So with Guruji's Kirpa, and only Satguru Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Kirpa, can we go through this concept and this philosophy of home today, because Sad Sangat Ji, I genuinely we're going to use Guru Sahib Ji's Praman, their Gurbani, to be able to help explain this. And I've literally just learned this myself. So, I'm no Gyani Tyani Banda. I've literally just put this together from Guru Sahib Ji's Gurbani to be able to understand what is home and how do we understand what home could be to help us in our life. First of all, Sad Sangat Ji, we have to understand the word home. Where does it come from? So in Sanskrit, there's a word which is called ahang and then mum. Ahang means I, and mum means me. Ahang, mum. And then from ahang, mum, it's evolved in Punjabi to become ho, me. So ho, me is two words. Ho means I, and me means me. Ho, me. ਹੁਣ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ, or ਮੈਂ ਆ ਖਾ ਲਿਆ, or ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਚਲ ਗਿਆ, or I've been here, I've been this. That's what the me is. And the Hon is another way of saying I. So Home, Sad Sangat Ji, it has as a word come from Sanskrit. But in Gurbani, hun aapa Gurbani de Panktiyan Maharaj ji Gurbani de naal aapa judna. What is Maharaj saying to us in Gurbani about Home? So I've selected a few praman, udharan, some Gurbani Panktiyan that will help us understand this. Guru Sahib Ji say to us that this Home is so deeply ingrained in us that even if you cut your body, if you cut yourself into little pieces, this Home will not go. This Home is so deeply ingrained within our consciousness, our psyche, within us, in our hirda. Maharaj say in Sri Sukhmani Sahib Ji da part, they say, Nimak nimak kar sarir katave. Nimak nimak, even piece by piece, nimak nimak kar sarir katave, topi mail na Home mail na jave. Topi Home mail na jave. That Home, which is a mail, which is a gandagi, which is a dirt, which is a grime, this mail doesn't go. Nimak nimak kar sarir katave, topi Home mail na jave. This Home isn't going to go. So this Home, Maharaj saying to us, is very deeply ingrained within us. And then if we look at Home a bit further, you think, well, Home hai ki. If it is so deeply within us, where do we go from here? Because we want to get rid of this. In Sri Asa Ji Divar, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, in one of the Shakka, I think it's the 7th Shakka in Asa Divar, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj say to us, Hom vich aya, hom vich gaya, hom vich jamya, hom vich mua. And in this Shabad, this whole Shakka is all about ego. And we're going to, with Guruji's Kirpa, refer to a few Pankti in this. And there's a Pankti in this Shabad, Maharaj says, Home buje, ta dar suje. If we understand really what is Home deeply, Home hai ki, Home buje, ta dar suje, only then will we understand how to get to the door of a Galpuruk Vaheguru. Ta dar suje. But Maharaj say in the next Pankti, Gyan bhi huna, katha katha luje. But without the Gyan of Satguru Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, we're not going to understand how we're going to get there. Katha katha luje. We're just going to be talking the talk, but we won't really get there. We're just going to chat away and babble, as it says in the transcriptions. Huh? So this really means that we have to use Gurbani to be able to help us understand this. Sad Sangat Ji, Gurbani is such a vast pandar, this whole treasure chest of jewels of wisdom. Maharaj say to us that Bhagat Pandar, so Bhagat means a spiritual person, a holy person you could say, but a Bhagat is someone who's a devotee, who is committed to focusing their dhyan, their focus on a Galpuruk Vaheguru. Bhagat Pandar, Pandar means a treasure chest full, Gurbani, Lal. Lal means a jewel. Gurbani is such a jewel. So if we're on a path of spirituality, jisanu bhakti je shonk hai gaya, you know, I'll be very honest, coming into Sikhi, I was more interested in spirituality. I didn't realize that actually Sikhi is spirituality and more. Spirituality, everybody could be interested in that, and anybody could. But we are so fortunate that Tan Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj is that jewel, that pandar of spirituality. If we want to learn how to be spiritual, apart Guru ko sikhiye. Nobody else. Because nothing else will work apart from the Gurbani's wisdom. Maharaj says, Bhagat Pandar, Gurbani Lal. Then they say, Gavat, Sunat, Kamavat, Fair, Nahal. ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਸੁਣਿਓ ਗਾਵਤ ਗਾਓ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਗਾਓ ਰਸਨਾ ਨਾਲ ਗਾਓ ਬੋਲੋ ਬਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰੋ ਗਾਵਤ ਸੁਣਤ listen ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਸੁਣੋ listen to that ਪਾਠ listen to that ਕੀਰਤਨ listen to that ਕਥਾ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਗਾਵਤ ਸੁਣਤ then ਕਮਾਵਤ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੱਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਂਦੀ it's not just a case of listening to the part or doing the kirtan or doing the part you then have to actually apply it in our life. Kamona penda, Kamavat means to apply. Very similar to Japji Sai, where we went through the 4 padiyan of Sune, the 4 padiyan of Mane. So Sunana, listen, Manana, accept, and then Nidyasan, which means to implement. Same thing. Kamavat means to implement it in your life. When we apply this in our life, Sad Sangaji, that's when the magic happens. That's when we see the change. That's when we see the transformation truly happening from within in us. Gavat sunat kamavat fir prani ho janda nihal. Nihal means emancipated, completely in line and aligned with Gurbani and Gurmat. Satsang ji, this is the Pandar of Satguru Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And Maharaj are going to explain to us about Home. So Maharaj, in another Pankti, say to us about there's different forms of Home. There's two different types of Home, you could say. And if you think of Home, it's not black and white. It's not just on and off. Home is this I-ness. Let's call it an I-ness for a moment, being all about the I. This I-ness is on a scale. You've got a pure form of I-ness, you could say, or ego, and a impure form of ego, impure form of I-ness. Let me explain. Maharaj say in this Shabad, they say, Hum kiya, hum karenge, hum murakh gavar. So Guru Sahib Ji is saying to us, imagine somebody saying, Hum kiya, main kita, I did this. Hum karenge, I will do this. But they're saying, if you're saying those words from a sense of I, as in I will do it, as in this body will do it, as in Charandeep will do it, then hum murakh gavar, then I'm the fool, I'm the one who's lowly, I'm the idiot. Simple. Because if we're saying कि मैं करना तो मैं karanga, if I'm going to do it, then Maharaj saying straight away, you're a fool because you're not going to do anything. Because in the next Pankti, Maharaj say to us, कि Visar, that we've forgotten the one who actually does all of this for us. We're not going to be the ones who do it. Maharaj say to us, karne wala visarya. The one who does it all, oh visar gaya. We've forgotten that one. Because Maharaj then says, Duje pe pyar. We've fallen in love with duality. We've fallen in love with the fact that actually Paramatma Akal Purukh is over there, and we've kind of forgotten about God. We've forgotten about the divine. I'm the one in control. I can do it all. Maharaj says, no, you're the fool. I'm the fool for thinking that. So you might think, well, okay, if we're not meant to be using those words and thinking it from a place of I did this or I did that, then how do we think about this? There's another Shabad Maharaj say to us, Jab lag meri kare. When we are saying to ourselves and we are doing, and we're saying to Sangat, we're saying to the people around us, Jab lag meri kare. When we're saying that I did this and I did that, it's all about the I, the selfishness. Jab lag meri kare, tab lag kaaj ek nahi sara. Thoda ek kam nahi pura hona. Not even one thing that you're trying to do will work. It's not going to happen. But Maharaj say fantastically, we say, Jab meri nikal jaye. Jab meri mit jaye. When it goes, when you've got rid of that meri, then Maharaj would say to us, Tab lag kaaj sware aaye. Tab prabh kaaj sware aaye. Then all of your karaj will be fulfilled because you've got rid of the ego. You're not talking about me. You're saying, Maharaj, tusi karo. You make this happen because I can't do it. Bhagat Kabir Ji, they say in their Shabad, similar to the one we said before, but the inverse. So the Shabad that we said before was, ke hum kiya, hum karenge. But Bhagat Kabir Ji says, Kabir, na hum kiya, na karenge. They're saying, na hum kiya, na karenge. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Na kar sake sarir. And neither can this body do this. So, Kabir, na hum kiya, na hum karenge. I can't do any of this. Na kar sake sarir. The sarir, the body can't do it either. Then they say, kya jano, kich har kiya. How do I know what Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji did? Kya jano? What do I know? Kya jano, kich har kiya. One ki kita. Payo Kabir, sari dunya Kabir kari jandiya. The whole world is saying Kabir this and Kabir that. But I haven't done anything. I don't know what Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji has done. I'm not worthy of doing anything. Dekho Sad Sangat Ji kini nimrta. How lowly they're thinking themselves. How they're saying that they have no power. And yet we know they're Shromani Bhagat in Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Ona di Bani is the Shromani Bhagat Kabir Ji's Bani is after all the Gurus, Bhagat Kabir Ji's Bani comes next. So look at that nimarta, look at their way of thinking. And we can copy that. We can use that kind of dialogue in our everyday life. So how? So say for example, you're going to drive somewhere and you're going to go to maybe, I'll just pick a place, London or Birmingham. You can say, Maharaj, kirpa karo, bless me, bless my family, we're going to drive now, we're going to go to London, tusi kirpa karo, aagya baksho. Fateh bula ke, Maharaj aagya leke, you drive. Maharaj, aap hi tusi gaddi chalayo, aapa pahunch javange. When you get home, when you get back, or wherever you get there, Maharaj da dhanwad kariye, Maharaj tusi shukr kita, thoda shukrana ke tusi sanu le aaye. You brought me in that place. All of a sudden, in that mindset, this is a mindset shift. We are saying, ke Maharaj, tusi karo. I can't do it. It means that we have to remember. And even in a way, Sad Sangat Ji, that becomes our Simran. Because we're saying, Maharaj, tusi karo, I can't do this. So we can copy what Bhagat Kabir Ji, their dialogue, their way of thinking, ke Maharaj, Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji, they do it. This body, this I is not worthy of doing any of it. So what we're seeing here, Sad Sangat Ji, is two contrasts. Ek hegi home of impurity or maleenta, in Punjabi ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, where this home is all about the I from a very impure place. Then you have home from a very pure place, where we're saying ke you get shabds like mere pritama ho jiva naam te aaye. Oh mere pritama, meri gal aa gayi na, mere pritama. The mere here, the mera is not about main karda. It's saying, oh Vaheguru Ji, tusi mere ho. Oh mere pritama. Ho jiva. Ho here is connected to Akal Purukh Vaheguru. Ho is not about the I from a place of impure ego. It's a place from pure I-ness. That's what I'm not trying to say. Ego is pure from a desire. To say ke ho jiva, I only live naam te aaye by jumping your naam and focusing on you. Hun ਆਪਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਬਹੁਤ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ, like we did in the Mangla Charan. Hum मैले, मैं मैला हाँ. Hum मैले, hum मैले. Then Maharaj says, hum murak. So from that hum, that's from coming from a very humble place, from a place of purity, to say that I'm a fool, I'm a mela, I'm dirty. Maharaj, you are perfect. So this is how, on this scale, I wanted to explain, we have impure ego, malintavali ahankar home, and we have a pure form of ego. And we want to try and move more towards a pure form of ego, or I-ness, let's say. And that could mean having desires, willingness to want to do something. Let me explain a bit more. Say, for example, Sad Sangat Ji, tusi hun Gurdware aaye hain. You've come to the Guru Ghar. You've had to make the effort, you've had to have a thought, a furna, to say कि मैं गुरुद्वारे आना है, कि मैं आके महाराज के दर्शन करने में संगत से आना, I want to come. That I, for you to come in sangat, is not from a place of ego, it's from a place of humbleness, that you want to come to Guru Sahib Ji's sanctuary. But then if you switch it and you say, मैं आप ही गड्डी चला के मैं आप ही आ गया, Guru Sahib Ji ने की किया, मैं आप ही आ गया, I did this, I did. All of a sudden that pure form has turned to an impure form. So it all becomes very closely aligned to your intentions, our intention. Where are we coming from in our heart? How do we feel about it? And that is something that nobody can judge. That's down to the individual. We have to reflect upon ourselves कि मैं कर रहा हूँ Guru Sahib Ji दे ओट आसरे सदका, कि मैं कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मेरे चे बाल्या मैं आप ही करांगा. Are we going from an impure form of that ego, that I-ness, or a pure form? So in this way, Sad Sangat Ji, Gurbani, Guru Sahib Ji talk about how this whole world, existence in itself, has come about from a level of I-ness. Maharaj talk about, in that Shakka of Asadivar, Maharaj will talk about Home eha jad hai, home karm kamaye. So let's just go through this for a moment. Home eha jat hai. Jat here means, Sad Sangat Ji, not jat as in caste, but jat means existence. Home eha jat hai. Existence, nature, life has come from a level of I-ness. Some vidwan, some scholars would even say that Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji, when they were in that state of sun, before science knows the Big Bang, before everything was created, when Vaheguru was in a state of complete sun, they had no furne, they had no state of thoughts, they were afur. But then they had a furna, you could say, what became into a state of safur. And from that state, the whole of creation was made. Now that safur, we're not going to say that was ego, because Vaheguru Ji is beyond all of that. But that's a pure form of, let's say, willingness, I-ness, to want to create the whole of creation. So all of a sudden, everything is created from a level of I-ness. Do you see why I had to explain that level of ego? Because it's not coming from the dark space of ego, it's coming from a pure place of doing something. Like we've come to the Guru Ghar, that's coming from a pure place. So in this way, Maharaj says, Home eha jaat hai, home karam kamahe. So Sad Sangat Ji, look at this carefully. Home karam kamahe. Through home, through this I-ness, we're doing our deeds. So where existence comes from a level of I-ness, that's home. And then from that existence, we then start doing deeds, we start doing karm. Because we have to make an effort to do something, whether it's good or bad. Whether it's coming to the Guru Ghar or maybe going out to a pub or a bar and drinking loads of alcohol or whatever else that might be happening in the outside world. That's us making an effort to do something. So this becomes now a chakkar of karam. So from existence, from home we get existence, and from home we get karam. Home ehe jaat hai, home karam kamaye, home ehi bandhana. Home ehi bandhana. Now, through home, we're now in bandhan. Bandhana ch aapa fas gaye. Home ehi bandhana. Fir jo nahi paaye. And fir we're going round and round in that chakkar of life. Home is such a deep topic, Sad Sangat Ji. It's no longer just defined as ego. Maharaj is saying to us in many shabads that this home, dare I say ego, it's not the ego that we think of banda hankar che aa gaya. This is from a pure place of willingness to do something. So we see now that home ei bandana fir jo nahi paaye, we're in bandhan. And we're going round and round in this circle. And in the next pankti, Maharaj will say to us, Home ei bandana fir jo nahi paaye, home kitho upjaye. So where did this home come from? Home kitho upjaye. Kit sanjam eh jaye. And then what is a sanjam? What is a tariqa? What is a method to get rid of this? Kit sanjam eh jaye. How do we get rid of this? The beauty of this Shabad Sad Sangat Ji, Maharaj explains to us, how do we now remove this home from us? They will say to us, Home eho hukm hai. Home eho hukm hai. Home has come from hukm. Hukm is Maharaj's divine will. If it's divine will, then this home has come from Akal Purukh Vaheguru in its first place. Home has come from Vaheguru Ji themselves. Home eho hukm hai. But ye kirt fir aaye. And then now, through this chakkar, we are going through karma. Now it's all karma philosophy, because we've been given that this home is part of our being. Home rog manukh ko diya. There's another pankti Maharaj says, Home rog, home is a rog, manukh ko diya. That Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji is given it to all people. The question now becomes is, how do we deal with that home? Do we let that home grow like a male? Like this male, like this dirt? Like some people were commenting on the poster that for this gatha, it was like a male. It was almost like Venom from the movie, right? Just a male over the body. It's a male. We want to try and get rid of that impure form of ego. We don't want that. We want a purer version of I-ness and a willingness to get closer to our Guru and Gurbani and Akal Purukh Vaheguru. So Maharaj says, Home dirag rog hai, daru pi isma hai. Let's just contemplate on this pankti, because often we hear this. Home dirag rog hai. So if we think of home now as existence, home is the fact that we exist, this body exists. And from this home, this body exists, home dirag rog hai. This is a very deep rog, disease. This existence is a disease. Home dirag rog hai, daru pi isma hai. And the daru, the medicine, is also within this. What is within us, this body that is come from ego, this existence has come from a level of ego, what is the daru, the medicine within this body that will help us? That Sad Sangat Ji is the pure form of our soul. It's our Atma. It's our inner being that is wrapped up in that mail of ego. That part of our hirda that we want to just remove and eradicate. Through going through good karam, by doing good deeds. Gur ka sabad kaate kot karam. Guru's Shabad, we'll learn in a moment, that is what is going to help us eradicate a lot of these karam that we have, all of this mail. So Satsanga Ji, there's even a pankti where Maharaj describes how sometimes we heard this analogy about ego, just to explain it a bit more. If we have a massive ocean, imagine that ocean is a Kalpurukh Vaheguru. That is the divine. You get a cup, a glass, and you put the glass in that ocean and you take that pani out. And when you take that pani out in that glass, what is the difference between the pani of the ocean, of the divine, and the water that's in the glass? And the answer is there's no difference. What's separating the water in the glass to the water that's in the ocean? It's the glass itself. The glass is the wall, the barrier that is separating the water in the glass to what's in the ocean. And in this way, Maharaj even explains to us that this wall is something that is stuck between us. That this peet is a wall, this I, peet, that is just come between Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji and us. And this is a problem. And we need to smash that glass of ego to be able to merge back within the one. Maharaj will say to us, Sunat des niktayo. Sunat, by listening, we know that Maharaj is so close but yet so far away. I was amazed what we often talk in the Sikhi classes about this analogy of the water and the glass. And Maharaj has actually got a bhakti explaining this, that this is the wall between us and Akal Purukh Vaheguru. So going back to that Shabad from Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, Home Dira Groghe Daru Pi Ismahe. That the cure is within the problem itself. The problem is the existence of the body and the I. And the cure is within this as well. And in the next Pankti, Maharaj will say to us as well, that actually, through Guru's Kirpa, and only through the Kirpa of Akal Purukh Vaheguru Ji and Guru Sahib Ji, we can actually help get rid of this. They say, Home Dira Groge Daru Pi Ismahe, Kirpa Kare Je Apni, Ta Gur Ka Sabad Kamahe. Je Guru Sahib Ji Kirpa Karan, we can earn this Shabad of Akal Purukh Vaheguru of Gurbani. Jad aapa Shabad naal judange na, then Maharaj say in the next Pankti, they'll say that this is the way that we get rid of this. They'll say, Kirpa kare je apni ta gur ka sabad kamahe, Nanak kahe suno jan ho. Nanak, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Sri Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj are saying, Nanak kahe sun ho jan ho. Listen and do this, everybody. It's sanjam eh jaye. That this is the sanjam, this is the way to get rid of this ego. Now, amazingly, they've given us very high-level view and a high-level solution, which is Shabadana Jodna, to get rid of the ego. But in the next is the body. And in the body, they go a little bit deeper to explain to us how do we do this. They say, Sev kiti santokhi. Sev, seva, seva karni. Sev kiti santokhi, santokh dinal. They're telling us about what to do and what qualities to have within us. Santokh rakhna. What is santokh? Santokh is contentment. Through doing seva, sev kiti santokhi, jine sacho sach te aaya, and o sach nu tyona, o Akal Purukh Vaheguru nu tyona, meditate and focus on the one Akal Purukh Vaheguru. So Simran, tyona, sach nu, and then also seva karni. Guru Ji di seva, Paath, Kirtan, Sangtan di seva. That's all seva. Nishkam seva. Not a seva to say कि मैं आकीती seva or मैं आकीता नहीं. Nishkam, selfless seva. Sev kiti santokhi, with santokh and contentment. In the next Pankti, Maharaj say, Uni mande pair na rakhiyo. Only those people, these Gursikhs, who are trying to eradicate this ego, Uni mande pair na rakhiyo. Unhone apne pair kite maade kamma che nahi rakhe. They're keeping away from any sinful deeds. They're keeping away from anything that's going to drag them away from Akal Purkh Vaheguru and their Sikhi, their Gursikhi Jeevan. Oni mande pair na rakhiyo, kar sukrit dharam kamaya. And o dharam kamaunde ne. They're doing righteous things, they're doing pure things, they're doing good things in the world and the community that they live in and in their life. One mande pair na rakhiyo, kar sukrit dharam kamaya. One thode bandan, one dunya tode bandana. Dunya de jede bandan hai na, dunya de jede these bounds that we're stuck in within this world, one dunya tode bandana and pani thoda khaya. And they're consuming less food. And they're eating a little bit. Oh, ras. They're controlling their ras. That jeba. They're controlling what they're consuming. But they're also breaking away from the world. What does that mean? They're not letting the world influence them. They're not letting peer pressure, advertising, marketing, pressure them to moving away from Gursikhi. That's what they're trying to do. Because the world, Satsangaji, is on our phones nowadays. We can access the whole world on our phones. And it's so easy to get distracted in this modern technical digital era. But Satsangaji, that's a distraction. Our physical interactions with people who are taking us away from Gursikhi, that's a distraction. Maharaj saying that those people have broken those bondages of the world where they're not connecting to any of that, and they're actually even thinking about what they're consuming. Not just food-wise, but also within their mind, through their eyes, through their ears. Always sara consumption, yeah, that's also consumption as well. In the next Punkti, Maharaj will then explain that this is the way. They'll say that this is the way. Uni dunya tode bandana an pani thoda khaya. Tu baksisi agla. Maharaj, tusi bade ho. Tu baksisi agla. You are the one who are able to forgive us and help us on this path. Tu baksisi agla nit deve chade savaya. That you're the one who makes all this happen. You're the one that makes this happen every single day for me. And they say, Vadda vadiyai paya. That this is how, that the Maharaj is so great. We can only achieve Maharaj, we can only achieve that oneness, we can only get to that oneness when vadiyai vadda paya, that when we are in tune with that one. So these are techniques that we can help to use to eradicate this ego from us, Satsangaji. It both lambi kathaya Satsangaji about home, but this home is so deeply ingrained. Maharaj explains to us that we want to try and walk away from the impure malinta vali ahankar home, that impure version of that. We want to try and adopt a more pure version of I-ness and a willingness to do the right thing. And in this way, Guru Sahib Ji Kirpa Karan, going back to the slok, Jai Prani Hometaji, that Guru Sikh, that one, that individual who is able to eradicate their ego and recognize that that Ramaya Hoya is everywhere. Hanji.
Kaho nanak vaho mukt nar ehman sachi man.
And Sadguru Siddhi Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj is saying, Kaho nanak vo mukt nar. That person is liberated. Mukt. Unhone mukti mil gayi. They are liberated whilst living. Ehman sachi man. Man means, oh mana, oh my mind, eh gal sachi manala. Accept this as the truth of my mind, that this is the way, that Guru Sikh who has got rid of their ego, has been able to get rid of that malinata, that impure form, and they recognize that Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji is everywhere. They are the ones who are liberated. Hanji.
Painasan durmat haran kalma har ko naam.
So Guru Sahib Ji are talking in this slok about bear. Bear means fear. And they're saying literally in this, to literally translate this slok, Maharaj saying bear nasan durmat haran. So bear nasan, nasnu they destroy, durmat haran, and durmat is evil-mindedness. So you have manmat, which is like listening to our mind. We have gurmat, which is listening to Guru Sahib Ji's wisdom. Then we have durmat, which is evil, negative thinking. Maharaj is saying to us, Pe nasan durmat haran, kalme har ko naam. That in this time of Kaljug, kalme har ko naam, that is the naam of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji that is going to completely eradicate our fears and our evil-mindedness. To understand this Satsangaji a little bit, We need to understand what is bear, and we'll focus on fear for a moment. Satsang ji, there's 3 types of bear, 3 types of fear. One fear is a dunyavi bear, srishti ka bear, a worldly fear. Then you have what you could argue or what you could say is a dini bear, or a religious fear. And then you have another fear which is a nirmal bear, which is a pure and a loving fear. I'll explain each of these. The first one about the worldly fear, the dunyavi bear. That is a fear where we are afraid of something external to us. That could be another individual, it could be someone out there in the world or in our family or in our friend circle. There's a fear of that person. Or it could be a phobia of spiders, phobia of being alone. It could be a fear or a phobia of something happening through nature, like we're all thinking about the people of Punjab right now through the floods and everything that's happening. Even that's a very fearful and scary situation to be in. These are external dunyavi worldly fears. We could be afraid of financial pressures. We could be afraid of what's going to happen to our cars or our home or anything around us. That's all worldly external fear. That's one type of fear. The other fear is dini bear, or religious fear, let's say. And religious fear, Satsangaji, is where we could be afraid of doing something wrong that will offend Guru Sahib Ji, or that will we're doing something out of sin that Gurbani says that we shouldn't do. For example, there are people out there in the Sangat, and many people that I know, who are fearful of maybe drinking alcohol because they know it's not the right thing to do. Or they might be fearful of doing something wrong that's against Gurmat. That's a dini bear, a religious fear. And then you have a nirmal bear, or a pure form of fear, which is actually being afraid of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji and Guru Sahib Ji. Not in case of that you're doing something wrong or sinful, but from a place of having a fear that Maharaj tusi badde hain. You are the biggest and the most greatest person being here now in this darbar and the whole of our life. I don't want to upset you. I'm afraid of that. That's a nirmal paw. That's a pure fear. And to explain that in a worldly relation, it's very similar to the fear we have of our parents. So we are afraid of our parents because, we don't want to make them angry and upset them, because they will get angry and tell us off. In the same way, we love them as well. But it's only through that parental, you could say, loving fear we have with our parents, do we fall more in love with them and build our relationship. In the same way, Sad Sangaji, there is this fear of Nirmal Paw that Maharaj talks to us about. In the second lav, in Rag Suhi, what we listen to in the Anand Karaj, we hear the Pankti, the Shabad Maharaj says was Har Dujri lav, Satgur Purkh Milaya Balaram Jiyo. In the second lav, Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, Satgur Purkh Milaya Balaram Jiyo, Guru Sahib Ji is going to join us with that pure being, that Akal Purkh Vaheguru. They say, Nirpaw Peh. Nirpaw is the one who is fearless. Nirpaw Peh, ona da dar rakhna. Nirpaw Peh man hoye. Have that dar in your heart. Have that fear of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, the one who is fearless, in your heart. Nirpaw Peh man hoye. Then ki home mail gavaya Balaram Jiyo. Aa dekh lo gal. Home di gal wapas aa gayi na. Home, the whole thing of egos coming back again. So what Maharaj is saying to us here is, by having this fear that sade to koi badda hega, that there is this Guru Sahib Ji who is by far the supreme being for us, and having that little bit of bear of the Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji who is fearless of everyone, our male in us, our home, will be eradicated. Home male gvaya. See how we got home and male again? You see, this is kalakh, this gandagi that Maharaj describes as home to be. But we can get rid of it by having a bit of fear of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. That Maharaj, ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੋ, you make everything happen, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੋ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਓਟ ਆਸਰੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, with your blessings we can achieve what we need to achieve, but only if they make it happen, not by any other means. This is the level of fear. Because in the next Pankti, Maharaj then say, Nirmal Paw Paya har gun gaya. Nirmal hun nirmal po di gal aa gayi. So from Dini Peh, which is that fear of Akal Purkh Vaheguru, from Dini Peh we'll then get that Nirmal Po, that pure form of fear, like the fear that we have of our father or our mother. That level of loving fear will develop. Nirmal Po paaya har gun gaya, har vekhe ram hadure. Hun apa ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਸ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਈ ਜਾਣੇ ਆ. Because we recognize them through that loving fear that they are the most benevolent, the most merciful, and the most powerful being ever in our life, in the whole of creation. Nirmal po paaya har gun gaya har vekhe ram hadure har atam ram pasarya swami sarb reha parpure. Then they're saying to us that har atam ram pasarya swami, this ramya hoya is everywhere. Now you're in a state of really connecting. Now this makes sense that only through having loving fear can we really develop a loving connection with Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. Only if we have that fear. Har atam ram pasarya swami sarab reha parpure antar bahar har prabh eko mil har jan mangal gaye. Now we recognize that antar bahar andar vi bahar vi oh ek paramatma sare passe ramya hoya everywhere. Just like Maharaj said to us, that in the the slok that we did before, Jai Prani Ho Mehta Ji Karta Ram Pachan, Ram nu pachan liya. He's everywhere. Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji is everywhere. Antar Bahar Har Prabeko Mil Harjan Mangal Gai. Mil, meet, Harjan, Hari de Jan. Meet the ones who are already imbued in that love with Akal Purkh Vaheguru. Mangal Gai, ona de gun gao. Sing Kirtan. Come together as a Sangat. Kar Saat Sangat, Simro Mado. Ho hai patat paneet, apa papiyan to paneet ban sakde hain. We can become pure by coming into Sangat. And that's with Guruji's Kirpa, we'll try and do that. We will definitely do that later on by coming together to do Simran. So in this way, Sat Sangat Ji, we understand that this spare can be eradicated. So even though in the slok Maharaj says spare nasan durmat haran, that evil-mindedness can go, we've just explored how. By having that nirmal po, that loving fear of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, this durmat can disappear. Kalme har ko naam, and this naam is what's going to carry us through in this time of Kal Yug. Hanji.
Nis din jo nanak pajai safalo hohe teh kaam.
Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj saying that nis din, that nis as in night and din as in day, nis din jo nanak pajai, that whoever through night and day Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji nu ਧਿਆਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਭਜੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਭਜਨ ਕਰਦਾ who meditates and focuses on Akal Purkh Vaheguru ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਜੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਭਜੈ ਸਫਲ ਹੋਏ ਤਹਿ ਕਾਮ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ all of their deeds, their affairs, whatever they're doing, all of them will be safal, all of them will be successful if we remember Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. Hanji.
Jehba gun gobind pajho karan sunho har naam.
Jehba, with our tongue, our Maharaj is literally saying Jehba guna gobinda pajaho. They're saying gun as in the praises of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, Gobind pajaho. Pajaho means to paj, to japa, to chant, to meditate. Jehba gun gobinda pajaho karan suno haranam. Karan means our ears. Sunho haranam. Ona da Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji da naam sunho. Listen through our ears, focus, try to control our mind. So when we are coming to Simran that we're going to do with Guru Sahib Ji's Kirpa in a little while, focus your mind on that naam and listen. So the technique here is to sing with your mouth, through your tongue, Ode gun gao, Jehba gun gobind pajaho. And as you're saying it with your mouth, when we're doing Simran, listen to the same thing with your ears. That's the technique. In that way, when your mind is focusing on speaking the words, and your mind is focusing, your ears are focusing on listening to those words, Satsang is very hard for the mind to then drift. Because the mind can't do maybe 3 or 4 things at the same time. If your mind is focusing on saying the words, and your mind is then focusing on listening to the words, it's a loop, connecting. And through that connection of meditation, Satsang Ji, then it's very hard for our mind to drift. And if it does drift, it's okay. Don't feel bad, just bring it back to the speaking of a listening and the speaking of a listening. This is a technique that Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj is explaining to us. Hanji.
कहो नानक सुन रे मना पर है ना जम कै ताम.
Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj saying to us, Kaho Nanak sun re mana, O my mind, listen, par hai na jam ke taam. Jam, as in the messenger of death, them jamdood. Par hai means to be captured. Jam ke taam, taam in their home or in their arms. Par hai na, you will not be captured by those jamdood. So through Simran and remembering that one who's created everything, apa akal purukh Vaheguru Ji nu ध्याना, through that bhajan, that bandagi, through focusing our devotional worship on Akal Purukh Vaheguru, Maharaj Guru Sahib Ji will protect us, and we will not fall into the clutches of the messengers of death. Apa ona kolo bach javange. Hanji.
जो प्राणी ममता तजै लोभ मोह अहंकार.
So Guru Sahib Ji is saying to us here that Jo Prani, again that word Prani has come. Prani meaning that one who is breathing, who has a pran. Jo Prani, that being Mamta Tajai. Mamta Tajai, Mamta here means possessiveness. Mamta, as in constantly saying it's mine, mine, and meri cheez ya. More than al jada visre hoya. Mamta Tajai, one, that person who has eradicated their Mamta, their possessiveness, and their lob, their greed, moho, attachment, and ahankar. Ahankar, again, loosely translates to ego or pride. Ahankar, we've talked about it already at length. That person, Jo Prani, Mamta Tajai, Lob, Moho, Ahankar, that person, that Gursikh, who has eradicated that connection with materialistic items, that attachment, that greed for those items, and that ego that those items are within them. If he lets go of that, Hanji.
कहो नानक आपन तरह और न लेत उदार.
Maharaj say to us, Tan Satguru, Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, Kaho Nanak, Apan Tareh, Oran Let Udhar. What does this mean? Guru Sahib Ji beautifully explained to us that Apan Tareh, this person that Guru Sahib Ji is describing, Jo Prani, who's forgotten and got rid of his or her possessiveness, their greed, their attachment, their ego, Maharaj says, Apan Tareh. O tar jande ne. They are saved. They are liberated. They get through this life. If this life is a test, because remember, this home has been given to us, home, rog manakh ko diya. Maharaj says to us, this rog is a rog that we've been given. If it's almost like a test, right? This life is an exam that we're trying to pass and get the examiner to test us with Dharamraj and give us some results. Maharaj said to us straight away, if we can do these things and forsake these vices, these things that bring us down, Kaho Nanak Apan Tareh. O Tarjanda. He's passed that exam. They've passed that test and they are then liberated and they're saved. But the amazing thing here, Sat Sangat Ji, Maharaj said to us, Kaho Nanak Apan Tareh, Oran Let Udhar. And anybody else that is with that person, that Gurmukh, that Gursikh, oh we bach jande ne. They're saved as well. So if we come into the Sharan of Satguru Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Maharaj is that one, that Guru Sahib is that one who is already Mukat. Aap Mukat mohe tare. Aise Gur ko bal bal chahiye. Aap Mukat mohe tare. Or ta already Mukat ne. They are free. If we come into their sanctuary and learn from them, we can also be saved. They're the biggest Mahapurush, the biggest Sant, the biggest Guru that we have. After that, if there's any Gurmukh Sajjan that we know, in Sangat, I'm always yearning to meet Gurmukh Sajjans, somebody in the Sangat who we can connect with and learn with and be in their charan, in their tour. I'm in your Sangat, Sangatji, I'm in your tour. I'm in yours to learn from you all as well. We can do vichara together as brothers and sisters, and we can all go through this test together. But Maharaj Kirpa Karan ke Kaho Nanak Apan Tareh Oran Led Udar Apa Sare Ralke. And many others. Maharaj Kirpa Karan, we can pass that test. We can get through this life. Satsangat Ji, we read this every day in Sri Japji Sahib Ji da Path. Manna Paveh Mokh Dwar. Manna Parvare Sadhar. Look at this. Every day we read this. Every day. And it means exactly what this Pankti is saying. Manne Pave Mokh Dwar. that jehड़ा ਮੰਨਦਾ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਆ, the one who accepts what the Guru is saying to us, ਮੰਨੇ ਭਾਵੇ ਮੋਖ ਦੁਆਰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਆਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਰਗਾਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, they are deemed as supreme, ਮੰਨੇ ਭਾਵੇ ਮੋਖ ਦੁਆਰ, ਮੰਨੇ ਪਰਵਾਰੇ ਸਾਧਾਰ, and their family is also saved, ਮੰਨੇ ਪਰਵਾਰੇ ਸਾਧਾਰ, ਮੰਨੇ ਤਰੇ ਤਾਰੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ। ਉਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਗਈ ਨਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਆ, the person who accepts what Guru Sahib Ji is saying to them in their life and they apply that in their life, manne tare tare Gursikh, they also have other Gursikhs around them who are also saved. Manne Nanak bhave na pik, aisa naam naranjan hoye, je ko man jaane man koy. We read this every day. So Sat Sangat Ji gal ohe aunਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਮੰਨੀਏ, to understand and accept what Guru Sahib Ji explains to us, and then we can make the change within our minds, in our hearts. And when we start to reflect on ourselves and our beings, our mindsets, our attitudes, our approaches to things in life, and everybody has ups and downs. Koi ek banda nahi keh sakta ke they don't have them. We all have them. How we approach those and how we handle those, do we come from an impure form of ego? Do we come from a pure form of willingness and desires to want to do something positive? Are we approaching these things with attachment and greed? Or are we approaching these things with compassion and love? This is what we have to reflect upon. And when we reflect upon these things, we can then start to make the change on the inside. And then with Guruji's kirpa, Maharaj kirpa karan, kaho nanak apan tarai, auran let udhar, Maharaj kirpa de naal ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਧਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੋ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਹੋਣ, ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੋਣ, ਇਕੱਠੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਹੋਵੇ, ਸਾਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਧਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, nothing else. So Sat Sangat Ji, going through today's katha, Das has, I know beyond galtiyan ho gayan Sat Sangat Ji. Home, ego is not something easy to talk about at depth, and I'll be very honest, Sat Sangat Ji, you know, I've listened to kathas from Gyani Pindarpal Singh Ji and other Gurmukh Vidwan, Gyani Sukhraj Singh Ji, to be able to understand what home really is to a deep level. I don't know this Gyan, Sat Sangat Ji. This is the Gyan of Satguru Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, and I've only shared with you what I've been able to remember. But home is such a deep philosophical topic that, you know, we could do hours of vichara and katha on this anyway. But going to the sloks of Siddhi Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Bani, Maharaj has taught us a lot of things today, that if we can just try and walk on that path of Gurbani and implement that in our life, and with Maharaj's kirpa, we can try to eradicate that impure form of ego and come to Guru Sahib Ji with humility and compassion, and try to do the most positive and right things from a place of dharam and righteousness to help us in our life and help everybody else around us. All I can ask for, Sat Sangat Ji, is your forgiveness and Guru Sahib Ji's forgiveness for any mistakes that I've made. I apologize. Guru Sahib Ji kirpa karan, lekhe kate na chhuthe kin kin pulan har, baksan har baksle nanak par utar, ao Sat Sangat Ji kirpa karo. Let's recite that last slok together, and us to baad Maharaj Ji kirpa de naal fateh bula ke apa simran da jaap shuru karna hai. Hanji
जो प्राणी ममता तजै, लोभ मोह अहंकार, कहो नानक आपन तरै, और न लेत उदार.
वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह.